Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the Sturmpanzer II. It's the Tier 4 German SPG. It's located on the southwest spawn of Arctic region, and it's under the command of RAFsqdn. And with a name like that, you'd think he'd probably be a serving member of the RAF. Game on! Well, it's a 15cm howitzer mounted on a hull that actually previously belonged to a Panzer II, the Panzer II. It wasn't very successful design, unfortunately. It actually had to be widened and lengthened to cope with the big 15cm howitzer. And it has 6 road wheels where it should have just 5 if it was originally based on the Panzer II. Okay, we stopped next to the rock at his end. He's trying to use it for cover. It only has a limited range, a bit like its predecessor, the Sturmpanzer II, or Bison. He's decided to move right down to the water's edge and try and shoot at the enemy from there. Now, all of the Sturmpanzer IIs that were manufactured by the Germans were sent to Tunisia and to Libya. And unfortunately, they were all lost, or in one form or another. The British captured a huge number of them, still in a workshop. They were actually being cannibalized to provide parts for the others. But they actually did manage to capture enough that the Egyptians later on put them back in working order and used them against the Israelis, apparently during the conflicts in 1967. You can see he got a hit with his first shot of 175. The Alpha is 350 and penetration of 35mm of armor. He's fired straight away. Unfortunately hits the rock base. With the extra HE, the non-stun variety, it's 450 Alpha and 44mm of pen, but the blast radius is only 3 meters. So as with a lot of the 105mm Arty, you need to get the shell really close before it will actually do any damage. Rounds up. Oh, he looked away, but he did get a big hit. And he's picked up his communications expert, which means now he's got a boost in skills of 2.5%. He got that because he did a lot of assist on the Panzer S35 and on other tanks like the Largo. So he's now got the concentration skill and the communications expert. Instead, he's decided to go for the Panzer S35, and he looked away, so we didn't get to see if that shell hit or not. It's showing 308 hit points of damage to the S35, but I think that was the previous shot. So we don't know where that shell went. He's fired again, and again he's looking away. Now, we do have a rule in What Arty Noobs. If you look away and don't look at what happens to the shot, then we don't do your replay, because our viewers want to see the damage done to the enemy tanks. They don't want to, and he's got a grey line there, which means he's out of range. Yes, so please don't look away when you shoot, because if you do, we just have to say, I'm sorry, but your replay isn't any good because you kept looking away all the time. Well, he looks like he's going to try a blind shot because there's a tree knocked down there, which kind of indicates that somebody is in there. And he's done it again. Now, he might have actually hit the enemy, but we'll never know, because he might have hit the enemy and the shell would have been absorbed. And of course, he wouldn't have seen any, he wouldn't have seen the shell disappear without an explosion. If there was an explosion, then he didn't hit the enemy. But if he had fired, and he's done it again. Well, I'm afraid, RAFsqdn, this is the last video you're going to be getting from us, because you keep looking away when you shoot. And consequently, I'm afraid that means from now on, we won't be doing any videos for you. Which is a pity, really. It's a Tier 4 Arty, and it would have been interesting to see more Tier 4 games, but I'm afraid we can't have games where we can't even see what's going on. He's dialing in on the popcorn thrower, and that's the Su-26 Soviet Tier 3 Ramsau. Why couldn't you watch that on the other shots? You watched that one, but you didn't watch the other shots. He got a direct hit. Now he's too close to the edge now for him to continue moving forwards. He's got his intuition skill running, but he's right at the water's edge. If that Su-5 moves, then he probably won't be able to... Oh, he got him! So he's actually killed both enemy SPGs, but he almost fell into the water himself. Okay, there's the Panzer S-35. Now, they did have two, or more than two actually, they had three. Well, the M3 Stuart thought he could jump on the Panzer S-35, didn't work out. Yes, comical but not actually valid. Okay, do it again, rounds out. And he looks away again. Yeah, I'm sorry, but your replays are just going to get discarded now. I'm not going to do anymore for you. He's still out of range. If he carries on moving forward, he'll be in the water as well. Swimming home. Well, the Valentine tank is in range, so he can get a shot. But again, it's got a long dial in. And in fact, normally with this vehicle, they do recommend, or at least Wargaming recommends, you lock the wheels to actually ensure that you can actually get accurate shots and that you don't get a big sudden bloom in your reticule. Now, you can't see the enemy at the moment, but... Oh, Valentine's popped up again, but he's looking in the wrong direction. He'll probably fire this and look away. Yes, he did again. This is why we're not going to do any more replays for him, because he's, I'm afraid he's producing a replay that we can't use. Well, he got a kill on the Valentine. There's only 2 enemies left. He's got 4 kills so far, but he's wrecked the video for us because he just simply won't watch. He's seen only one of the actual replays or the targets actually destroyed by a shell. The others, he just hasn't bothered to watch. He just fires and then looks away. Now, he stayed to watch that one, and we know that the shell exploded, so obviously it didn't hit the target. It might have been easier for him if he'd actually taken the route to the right and gone around the rock and attacked from a different direction. As it is, the enemy is going to be looking this direction because there's 2 tanks, the Pak 40 and the Panzer III. Oh, he's changed his mind. Yes, he agrees with me that that is the correct thing to do. If he goes the other way round, he's got a much better chance of either A, spotting the T-40, or at least getting a shot, because they will be distracted looking at the Pak 40 and the Panzer III. Looks like the Panzer III Aslains is coming around. I'm wondering if he's going to come round with us. It looks like he is crossing to do that. The Pak 40 is as blind as a bat. It really is. It's a very powerful gun, the Pak 40. But I'm afraid it's not very good at seeing. So Unfortunately, he's letting a blind tank shoot at the enemy when he can't see them. And that's a bit of a problem. But he's trying not to be seen himself, simply because if he does get spotted, then he might get slotted. And they've killed the M8A1. Well, the PaK-40 just wiped out the M8A1 with blind fire. So that was what was hiding in the nest up in the corner, but we still don't know where the T40 is. And it looks to me like RAFsqdn's decided he's going to go in. He's just congratulated him, said nice work. But we need to see where this T40 is. So he is taking a risk doing this. He's more than likely going to get fired at, and more than likely he might die. But if the PaK-40 sees where the T40 is, then the PaK-40 will finish off the T40 fairly quickly. He must be getting close. There's the T40. He's just behind that bush. There he is. Okay, so we can get a shot. He does get a shot, and now the PaK-40 knows where he is. The Panzer III Aslains is coming in. So he did do a brave thing, actually getting killed. But unfortunately, he doesn't watch his targets when he fires at them, other than this one and the Su-26 and the Su-20, the Su-5. I think those are the only three that he actually watched. Was it the only two? Well, unfortunately, Panzer III Aslains got killed, and that just leaves it to the PaK-40 now, and he's not watching the PaK-40, but we can do it by coming into free camera. And there's the T40, and he pulls back into the gun, 75mm versus T40, and good night, sweetheart. And RAFsqdn says, easy. Well, if it was so easy, why didn't you watch? Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker for RAFsqdn in the Sturmpanzer II. He managed to get a counter battery fire medal because he took out both the Su-26 and the Su-5 on the enemy team. He also managed to get a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. And a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he managed to get 16 in that game. He also picked up the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game overall. His win rate was 10,752, which is super Unicum standard and quite a bit more. But one of the bad things he did is he fired and he looked away after firing. And if you do that, you miss out on seeing if your shell is a hit on the enemy or a miss. Because, of course, if it misses, you will see an explosion. If it hits, you would actually see nothing if the target was blind, because the target, the shell would just disappear without an explosion. And he failed to do that on several occasions, which meant that he didn't know if he did damage or not in that particular target. But he did win the game because he actually did something very rare. He actually went in to try and find the enemy so his teammates could kill the enemy T40. And yes, that did work in the end because the PaK-40 was able to get the best of him. PaK-40s are blind without support from their teammates. They need their teammates to use their eyes to see exactly where the enemy is. And whilst this particular Arty only has a view range of 255 meters, he only needed to get near the T40 to actually show where he was and let the PaK-40 do his job. Anyway, let's have a look at team score. He did get the highest damage in the game with 1,826 hit points. Second highest damage went to the T40 on the enemy team, 1,465. And the third highest damage was the M8A1, who was up in the corner of the map, in the corner, shooting from the sniper's nest. He got 1,094 hit points of damage. He also picked up a top gun and a tank sniper from that position. When it came to kills, we can see the highest number was the M8A1. He got a top gun from that sniper's nest. The second highest was RAFsqdn with 4 kills. 3 kills went to the PaK-40 on his team and the T40 on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, it's RAFsqdn again. So he got the highest on damage, the highest on base XP at 752, but he missed out on getting the highest number of kills because the M8A1 was doing necessary. He got 752. Second highest was the Pac 40 with 546. And third highest was the Largo M38 on his team with 506. Now, did he hit that M8A1? No, he didn't. All of his shots missed him, even though he was firing into the corner where the M8A1 was located. He didn't hit him once. And of course, if he watched the shells go in, then he would have known that he didn't hit him. And obviously, then he would have been a bit concerned because he wasn't getting any damage on the guy. Anyway, let's have a look at detail. He fired 16 rounds in the game, got 8 direct hits, 4 penetrations, and 6 splash. 1,826 hit points, of which 1,643 were at more than 300 meters. He received 3 hits, and all 3 hits were penetrations, I'm afraid. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 4 were killed, 217 hit points of damage assist, and 202 hit points of stun assist off 1 stun. He actually made a profit of 20,623 credits on a premium count and took away 5,640 experience points after he got a 4,512 experience points bonus for completing a mission. But there's one thing I just have to say, and obviously I've made this very plain to every What Arty Noobs member. If you send in a replay and you look away, then we don't do your replays in the future, because we've got no guarantees that you're going to just ruin the replay by not letting us see the enemy tanks get killed. You know, if you're in a tank and you shoot at the enemy, you watch to see if your shell hits the target. If you don't watch to see if the shell hits the target, you won't continue to do damage to the tank that you're targeting, simply because you won't know if your target is getting struck. So, you know, if you don't look at your targets and you just fire the Arty and look away, then it ruins the game for those players who want to see that damage. So we don't do it from there on in. So although I'm going to put this replay up, I'm going to say to RAFsqdn, do not send us any more replays, because I'm afraid until you learn to play the game and watch your shells, we're just not going to feature these. So I'm afraid that's the way it's going to be, because we've warned everybody else the same. So if you enjoyed that replay, please give it a like, do subscribe, and say give some comments down below so he understands why we do this, why we refuse to put any more videos up for people who don't look. And thank you for watching.